Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video. It's been a little while. Today I wanted to do a bit of an illustration video. Who even says that you need a niche on a YouTube channel? Everyone? Cool. I've been doing these little challenges on Instagram. They're called Draw This in Your Own Style challenge. Bit of a mouthful, but we got there. You've probably seen them before. They are when an artist gives permission to draw what they've drawn in whatever style that you like and kind of defines you. They're really fun and I find them a really validating way to practice my own drawings and practice my own style. I know that style is a big kind of subject for some people. I've always had people asking like, how did you find your style? But I honestly think this is a really good exercise to kind of hone in on what you like doing and why you like doing it, because you're literally looking at someone else's work and deciding what you would change and what you would keep about it. And I think it's a really cool exercise and it's a really fun way to find new artists as well, because you can follow along with the hashtags and see what everyone else is doing and see how many other interpretations there are of essentially the same image. I'll make sure to write the hashtag and link my Instagram so you can kind of see what I'm talking about a little bit more. But I definitely encourage you, if you are an artist who like that kind of thing, to get involved. Today is something a little bit different, but it is something I've done before, looking at some of my old work and redrawing from that. So it's essentially drawing in my own style, but stuff that I drew about 8 years ago. Again, I think it's a really valuable exercise to let you see how far you've come and the decisions that you made previously and how you've changed kind of the way you work, or at least for me in the past, that's been quite rewarding for me. What's been really interesting is looking at what is essentially more recent work. It's like after university level work that I still see stuff that I would do completely different now. This drawing that I want to show you today is from 2014, which for some reason in my head didn't sound like that long ago, but that is 8 years ago. That's how long it's been since I left university, and I remember doing this drawing in the summer after I'd left, thinking I was being really bold and creative. And we're going to take a look at it today, and I'm going to talk through some bits that I like about it, that I think work, and some bits that I don't think work anymore. All this aside, I am a huge advocate for people being really kind to themselves about their own work. I really don't like the mentality of being like, don't look at my work, it's rubbish. It's more just pointing out the stuff that I would do differently now and I've learnt from, and I wouldn't have got to where I am with my art style today if I hadn't have taken these risks and been a little bit daring to then put it into what my style is today. If that makes sense? I think that makes sense. Let's take a look at the drawing. So this was taken off of my Tumblr. Shout out to the people who knew me on Tumblr. Oh my god, you guys have been following me for a long time, and I know there's some of you out there. It's this little vignette of a woman playing badminton at some kind of like garden party affair. There's some like obvious pims there, some strawberries, some miscellaneous jugs. Let's go through all the bits that I think actually work with this drawing, and then we can go into the stuff that I would change. So I would have been 21, maybe, around that age when I drew this. I think what I was practicing was those kind of vignettes with multiple layers. So you can see like a character in the background and something in the foreground. And I do think that works quite well. Like the whole composition of this piece, I do actually think is quite cute. I also think some of the colours are really fun. I would still use a lot of these like mint colours and the yellow. The yellow next to the blue in this little background bit here, I do really like it. I'm trying not to say the negative stuff like with the good stuff, because I'm trying to focus on only the good, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And the other thing that I like is the character herself. I think she's got a cool shape. I have a feeling I was very interested in Adventure Time at that current time. So all my limbs were very like flowy, and I still do that a little bit today. I might not make it as elastic, but I do like her. I think she's got a good little face in there. This whole image actually has got quite like a dynamic sort of bright vibe to it, which I find, yeah, quite appealing. I think things that I'm going to take from this are also the white line around the glass jug. I do like that. Maybe some of the textures, although I would say I think I just learnt about brush textures. I didn't have full Photoshop the entire time of my degree. I had like a Photoshop Elements, and I don't think you could download brushes. And I think this was my discovery of Carl T. Webster's Gouache a Go-Go. The girls who know. I feel mean to myself, but this is fine because it's my own work. I can take it. Maybe I can find other stuff that I like about it, but I think now we're going to go on to the bits that I am not too keen on. So I mentioned the colours before and how that yellow and the blue is a really nice, like singularly, if you single them out, they're a really nice colour combination. But as an entire image, something that I find really useful to do, especially when you're analysing work, or you can look at your own image and are like, oh, what's not working here, something's not gelling, is I like making the image black and white or grayscale, and from that you can start to pick out the values and see what is really strong in the picture and what is really weak in the picture. And from doing that several times, I can start to kind of see my own images in a like black and white way, and I can tell even before I've done it that the blue of those bushes, the dark blue, is really like intense compared to everything else in the picture. I'm gonna see and play around with if we can bring that blue back in and maybe put it around other places so that the whole thing feels a lot more encompassing, because I do like the blue and yellow, but when you're making a composition, often you want to draw an eye to a certain thing. So for example, in this image, I would most likely want to draw my eye to the badminton player, right? Like the character is usually a pretty important part of the illustration, and she gets a little bit lost in the yellow and then over boldened by the blue. This is why I love going through these old drawings, because at the time I definitely had just thought like, oh, I love that colour with that colour, let's do that. That's a crazy colour next to that, let's do that. But you've got to start thinking at it as a whole image. For example, I can also see that these strawberries are really like bold red, and that mint, like the really bright mint in these like what are they, decorations. Again, I like how bold I was going, but the values of them isn't quite right, and I think that's something we're going to change up quite considerably. But I still want to keep the whole like bright, almost neon style, because I think that's kind of fun to play with. Nowadays I do really bright colours. I remember looking at this when I was younger and thinking, wow, this is a really bright image. And these days this isn't super bold for me, but I think we can push that and make a really bold image. The other thing that I would be really conscious of in this drawing is, what's the word for it, like the scale of drawings. And for example, I mean, I think I just got bored of drawing the little like seeds on the strawberries, can you see that? But all of the little details in like the pims and the strawberry bowl, and even like the patterns on that strawberry bowl, are all a little bit too minute and detailed for the rest of the image, which is quite bold. And this is something that's taken me a really long time to get my head around, 8 years as it were, and to make it really balance with like little objects and big objects is a tricky feat. But again, it's about making that whole image fit as one, and that might mean changing up some of the subject matter. It might mean making there be less strawberries, or like a bigger jug, so that we can fit more of what I want into this image. But now I'm really excited to kind of get going with it. I think all these textures, although it's a style and I think it's valid, I think for me now, I wouldn't have all the brush strokes going the same way. I think I like a bit more of a gritty texture and like changing things up, so I think we'll change that up quite a lot. But the overall composition, as I said, like I like how the gazebo, is that what everyone else calls it? I feel like that's a very English word, but maybe it's not. Like the tent kind of goes across the page and kind of cuts it into a little viewpoint. I actually really like that. I think that works really well. Cool, how exciting. Now we can get into the drawing. Welcome to the voiceover part of the video. I thought it would be nice and clear if I just did a little voice recording and talked through some of the process. Starting with my scrappy sketching, this was to get the basic outline of everything, but not being too precious at this stage. I then start blocking in the shapes, again not being particularly choosy with the colours. I had the original drawing open on another screen, by the way, so I would be looking at that a lot throughout it. Sometimes I like to take away the sketch just to get a bit more of an idea of how those shapes are looking. You'll see me play loads with colour and changing everything up before settling. This is one of my favourite stages. I love just kind of playing with the colours and defining that palette. That yellow took me a while. These decorations were fun as well. I wanted them to feel nice and rough, so I didn't zoom in too much, and I started with that bright mint, but then I brought in the rest of the colours that were already in the piece, like those greens and pinks, to make it feel a little bit more cohesive. The Pims jug is probably my favourite part. I had loads of fun fitting all the fruit and ice in there, and also playing with the lines of the table and the jug itself. I thought that was quite fun. Obviously I had made it way more abstract to balance out the illustration, and I think making the whole thing bigger and more simplified helps this, along with the strawberries as well. I used that dark blue for the strawberry detail because I thought it would be a nice way to bring that dark detail elsewhere, and I love how something so simplified can be read as a strawberry. This is essentially a red circle with dark dots and a bit of green, but it works, and I think it fits really well with the rest of the illustration. Here's where I begin to add more depth and texture to the drawing. I try to leave this to the end, but sometimes I can get a bit overexcited and can't resist. I bring the sketch of the character back in to redraw it, just to define some of those curves. Watch me a few minutes later just completely ignore these lines. But anyway, I really wanted to exaggerate that bend backwards and give it more of a mid-action look than the original. I think it's taken me years of practice to get the right look of something that's not anatomically correct, but still has a weight and physics that works. Not saying that this is my best example, but I really enjoy making a still character feel as if you can anticipate their next move. Welcome to Maddy Draw the Blue Line 10 times. Again, trying to create some of the organic fluidity of the original with this hand and doing some little touch-ups without the sketch so I can see a bit clearer. I really like this little extra narrative here. It's so tiny and silly, but adding the extra shuttlecock into the bushes hidden amongst the berries, which are the same shape, definitely showcases the different approach I have to illustrations now. I'm always looking for ways to add more story and kind of a bit more humour and heart, beyond just making a pretty picture. So I think I have finished my illustration and I am happy with it actually. I think it's looking good. There are a few things that I found difficult in this. I think just the general keeping it looking like the old drawing whilst bringing something new and fresh. I didn't want to change her hair colour because I liked it, but with the balance of everything it was kind of tricky. Same with the strawberries and stuff. I would have preferred to maybe make something that looked more simple all the way through, but it was a really fun challenge and I really hope you have enjoyed watching this full video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if you like this kind of video. I have really enjoyed just sitting here and illustrating with you, chatting it through. I'd love to hear what other ideas there could be for this kind of thing. If there's any of my old drawings you want to see me redraw, that would be very cool. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my Instagram if you'd like to see more of my illustration work. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!